PLO Lumumba, famously Patrick Lok Otieno, spoke to both William Samoei Ruto during an interview on JKlive. And this is my analysis on the issue. Because there are fundamental issues that have been happening around the Republic of Kenya that we need some clarity on. And this is my thoughts on Professor PLO Lumumba. He is one of the somberest, one of the most intelligent minds Kenya has seen. We see how lyrical he waxes. And this interview on JKlive is a whole new different kind of PLO Lumumba that I have seen. You know, PLO has successfully been able to project himself as a leader mentor, a philosopher who discusses ideas, who discusses politics from a bird's view and tells leaders the direction they should take, where they should go. But my question is this what PLO Lumumba projected on Citizen TV during that interview? Because personally I am seeing a whole new different Patrick Lok Otieno. I am seeing a PLO that we have always ignored. And there are issues I need the people of Kenya to understand about this issue and why I have such kind of a take on it. And on this episode, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let us discuss the issue at hand. Welcome, everyone. This is Mkenya TV. Now, Raila Amolo Odinga went into the elections in August 2022 against William Samoei Arap Ruto, who currently is the holder of the office of the Republic of Kenya. The election was constitutionally and according to the constitution and according to particular legal debates that have been held, not regarding the fact that some of these debates and constitutional processes have been flawed very deeply, came out as William Ruto victory. The Supreme Court of Kenya even went to a whole new level by affirming the IEBC's decision that William Samoei Ruto was actually the elect, and William Samoei Ruto was actually Sunni. And up to this point, I want us to see Raila's reactions so that we can be able to analyze Professor Lumumba's take from a constitutional and legal point of view. So, Wafula Chebukati came out in a very divided IEBC with 4 against 3 commissioners saying that the elections have not been free and fair. 4 were against, but Wafula Chebukati went on and declared the results. Raila kept quiet and instead did not stage mass action or demonstration. He did not even call anybody. He told Kenyans to stay at home and wait until he thinks about what to do. Because this was already actually flawed. And everybody who has a brain, even those people who were supporting William Samoei Ruto, could see some flaws. Raila went all the way to court and he discussed these issues in the courts. He presented his case. But the case, in the words of one, I don't know what to call her, honor, or her excellency, or whatever those people in the high court are supposed to be called. You know, I'm not really a legal practitioner. Declared the whole case hot air, wild goose chase, and all those nice words that she used. Flow number 2. All Raila wanted were the servers to be opened. And that was all that his lawyers actually asked the court to make sure is done. If it was free and fair, then the electoral board, IEBC, would have no problem. Please, here the servers, just come, see them. You know, just come, see everything. We don't have anything to hide. But the Supreme Court actually sided with IEBC on that there's no need to open the server. Flow number 2. Flow number 3 is the judgment. So whether it was a legitimate election is a question that is clear on the mind of any intelligent Kenyan, regardless of which side you support. You can see the 2022 elections in Kenya were not exactly the fairest. And oh yes, it was constructed very, very carefully. It was done very, very carefully. Very, very smart. But the loopholes are there. So when a person like PLO Lumumba comes out to speak, I expect him, when he is talking about the institutions, the constitution, the legal institutions put in place, na expect mtu ataongea kuhusu hizi vitu aseme, number one, I understand the particulars of the outcomes of those elections. I was watching them. You know, he has been this man who has been giving us a bird's eye view of Africa. Yeah? We thought he was a nationalist and a pan-Africanist. But he comes out very clear to anybody who was watching him. He comes out like one saying, wewe Raila Amolo Odinga ulishashindwa. Wewe you are not elected. Whether that is true or not is not for anybody to debate. William Samoei Ruto today is the holder of the office of the Republic of the President of the Republic of Kenya, and we have seen Kenya so many times where elections are concluded and the illegal holders of the office are not the rightful owners. Moi rigged an election in 1992. He rigged in the subsequent elections and even in the next one. Mwai Kibaki was elected after a lot of pressure, a lot of rejection by the people of Kenya. To such an extent, even Moi himself had nothing to steal. He could not be able to steal. But the people of Kenya actually elected Emilio Mwai Kibaki and made him president. And today we celebrate Mwai Kibaki as one of the best presidents to have been. But in 2007, Mwai Kibaki had actually mismanaged the Republic of Kenya and was actually voted out because as a result of the 2005 constitutional referendum, because of the kind of constitution he was actually advocated, that made Raila stand against him and say, we are not going to accept this. But Emilio Mwai Kibaki rigged himself in to the point he had to have himself sweared at night. So from there on, war erupted in Kenya. So who was the cause of the war? Was it those who stood and said the election was rigged, or those who had rigged the elections? Who was the cause of the war? Was it the rigging of elections, or was it those who rejected the elections? And I mean to ask this in light of, is peace better than justice? You know, I'm discussing this on an intellectual basis. Is peace better than justice? Is peace better than justice? You know, I nilikuwa naambia wase that after the kind of elections we are going to have, even before the elections came, I was telling people Kenyans are not peaceful at the moment. Yes, there is nothing called war. Hakuna watu wanapigana. But this should not lie to anybody that Kenya is in peace. Because Kenya was actually in pieces. But the kind of war Kenyans were actually fighting and are still fighting today is a whole kind of national war that is based on the mind. Kenyans are stressed. Kenyans are living under a lot of stress. I wish people were actually fighting. I wish watu wanapigana mangumi kuliko watu wana struggle kiakili, like watu wako na stress. I wish watu wanakuwa wanapigana mangumi, because at least after mmemaliza kupigana mangumi, mkishaondokeana hiyo uchungu inaisha. People with stress are worse than people with peace, or what these people want to call peace. So I was telling people there's actually no peace after the elections, because the reason why Kenyans voted in the particular elections was because they were actually voting out of frustrations. Kenyans are actually suffering so much frustration even before the government was installed. They were frustrated. The economy was so hard on them. The cost of living had skyrocketed so much. Kenyans are struggling financially. Masomo imekuwa stress. You know, unemployment, food, the climate, the weather, agriculture, industries. You know, in Kenya, even industrialization has become a problem. Kenyans cannot even come up with industries. They cannot come up with manufacturing processes. Why? Because the government will be on their neck. And these are the kinds of issues that Kenyans were actually going through during the time. So when they went for an election, what they wanted was change. A chance to be allowed to grow financially. A chance to be allowed and enabled to actually be able to afford the basic needs: food, clothing, housing, because that is the immediate needs that most Kenyans today cannot actually be able to afford. So there was never peace at all from the start. But again, let me decide to go with Professor that peace in the effect that there was no fighting between Kenyans as a result of the elections. So there was no fighting. after Raila allowed William Samoei Arap Ruto to actually get sworn in. If Raila Amolo Odinga had at that point stood out, came out and told the people of the Republic of Kenya that I have rejected the outcome of the elections of these elections, I have rejected the results, I am not going to accept them, and I want you people to come out and support me in rejecting these results. We will not allow this man to get sworn in. Raila had the capacity to do that, and he would actually have won that fight. We know when it comes to those kinds of struggles, Raila is unmatched. But he held his horses. He held his horses. But he was very clear. I do not actually accept the results as legitimate. Those are actually illegitimate. The Supreme Court judgment was actually illegitimate. But I have no problem. Let this guy go on and become the president. I don't have a problem. But what did William Samoei Ruto do after becoming president? He ditched the interests of the people of the Republic of Kenya. That is undisputed. On the basis of number one, Kenyans at that time were dying of hunger. At that point, the economy was already so hard on the people of the Republic of Kenya. Did William Samoei Ruto initiate? I don't expect William Ruto to actually have done so much on the economic situation, but I need to have seen the groundwork done. At least on the issue of hunger, he could have actually maintained the subsidies. Why? People are actually dying out of hunger. So even if you want to subsidize production, but people are dying of hunger, the priority need is not the future. It is now. People are dying now of hunger. So you don't tell a hungry man, please, I will give you food next week. I am going to give you money so that you can plant. You can go to the shamba, plant some waru, ama mahindi or mbosho, and then after 1, 2, 3 months utavuna na utakosa njaa, hautakuwa na njaa. The immediate need was hunger. We needed to see William Ruto do something about the hunger situation, help the people to stop dying of hunger. William Samoei Ruto did not do that. Instead, he came out in a very well calculated lie that I am going to subsidize fertilizer. Anybody who is intelligent enough can be able to tell that subsidizing fertilizer is not actually going to solve the agricultural problem in the Republic of Kenya. Because today it is not that Kenyan farmers don't have maize. And Gachagua was even saying this on national television when he was interviewed. He said that Kenyan farmers have maize, yes, but they are selling their maize expensively. Why? Because the cost of production, and the cost of production is not fertilizer, my friends. Because I know some people will think, oh, this man is saying the cost of production and fertilizer is, yes, fertilizer is an input, but the cost of production of agriculture is not totally based on fertilizer. So yes, the fertilizer thing was an input, but it was not actually the cause. Today, Kenyan's farmers. I was talking to someone from the millers, someone who owns a miller, and he was telling me that the problem with Kenya is not that Kenya doesn't actually have maize, but the government of Kenya refused to buy the maize from Kenyan farmers, so that farmers have their maize. So NCPB never bought maize from farmers, and this is what caused the shortage, because the farmers have maize which they cannot actually sell, because NCPB should be able to buy it in bulk, but they have not done that. Up to that point, I don't know Kapato Lebanon. So the maize problem in Kenya can be solved internally by, number one, first buying all the maize from the farmers. And we saw Rigathi Gachagua coming out to tell farmers, sell us the maize. But he is not selling. The government does not act like these two people have been learning it. The government is systematic. If NCPB wanted to buy maize from farmers, it doesn't need to go on TV, the deputy president to go on TV and tell farmers, tafadhali useni painti zetu. You go to a particular way, you advertise. We have a need for maize. If you're a Kenyan farmer, you have maize, we are advertising this, so please come tell us how much you can be able to supply us, give us that maize, we are going to buy for you at this price. But instead, it is Gachagua going on national television telling, uzeni mahindi, sijui nini. Na msipotuzia tutaendea ya South Africa, sijui tutaendea ya sijui wapi. What the fuck are you telling me? So they never did anything to solve that issue of hunger. The next issue was climate and the economy. And we have seen totally no effort to solve that issue. We have seen no groundwork being laid that should give anybody hope that anything will be done. So PLO Lumumba even goes to the account on television and tells us that yes, the situation is actually that bad. Yeah, the government is not doing anybody any good. And this is the point at which I want us to come. That all this while, Raila was not even having a problem with the fact that Ruto had already even become the president. He had already settled in. But William Ruto actually decided to go after people like Matiang'i. He went on a stealing spree, every day coming out to tell Kenyans that the government doesn't have money. But the government is collecting money daily. This guy is making luxurious travels daily. He is always in churches giving out money. All those are actually expenditures. So the government doesn't have money, but you are doing all those expenditures. I mean, if the government doesn't have money, we expect to see you not using money that the government doesn't have. So it was clear that William Samoei Ruto was actually lying to Kenyans that we don't have money. So he had money. He had money to do all those meetings. He had money to do all those travels. He had money to launch housing. But he never had money. The government never had money to bring the economy down. The government never had money to lay the groundwork for alleviating the food crisis, for alleviating the economic crisis, for alleviating the oil crisis. And at this point is where Raila came in and realized, even if I accepted, I don't have a problem with it, William Samoei Ruto being the holder of that office. But I want him to do this and this and this and this. I want him to change the economic situation. I want him to reconstitute IEBC in an inclusive manner. And what is unconstitutional about it? PLO Lumumba came out and told us that it was actually unconstitutional what Raila Amolo Odinga is planning. And I ask myself, PLO Lumumba is a constitutional lawyer, is one of the best, well-trained, in fact, a trainer himself in the legal profession. What is unprofessional about the public and the people of the republic coming out to disagree with a constitution that they own? The constitution is actually an item owned by the people. So if the people at some point actually felt disenfranchised from their constitution, they have the capacity to actually come out and say, we do not agree with this constitution at this point. We do not agree with these constitutional processes and up to this point. And I ask, and my question to PLO Lumumba would be, so what happens when constitutional institutions birth illegitimate and constitutional results? Because you have come out clearly and told Kenyans that it is illegal, it is unconstitutional. Yeah, it is greed, you know all these things. So what happens? And we have seen PLO Lumumba go all over Africa, telling Africans how we have bad leadership, how our judicial systems are actually rigged, how illegitimate they are. But he still thinks that we should trust those illegitimate and illegal constitutional institutions. And this is the tragedy of Africa, that the best of minds that we have will give us a problem and still tell us to trust that problem. PLO Lumumba, you are a mind every one of us respected. I am politically inspired by some of your works and speeches. But at this point, it comes out that we need to be decisive on our issues. I like what you have stood for previously, PLO, because you have stood for sane leadership, a mentor of sane leadership, honest leadership, good leadership, people-oriented leadership, because that is what Africa needs today. Africa is suffering because it doesn't have people-oriented leadership. But you want to tell Africans to continue trusting the same institutions that have been put in place and micromanaged to make sure that Africans remain in the same state that they are. For example, the African Union, AU, has been a very useless tool in bringing about Pan-Africanism. Is that the same thing that you want us to keep trusting? Something that you have come out clearly telling us that yes, it is actually a toothless fighting dog. Is it what you want Africans who want unity for Africa to continue trusting? PLO, I think that even you would be clear if you are being honest with us to tell us now. I have to tell you the truth, but that is, if Africa is ever to achieve the fruits of Pan-Africanism, the AU is an ineffective tool. I need us to sit and discuss other ways that Africa can unite, that Kenyans can get the fruits of their nationalism, Nigerians can get the fruits of their nationalism, South Africans, the people in Malawi, Mozambicans, Guinea-Bissau, Tunisia. I need you to come out and tell us that these are issues that we can actually now discuss. And because those legal systems that we have put in place are now have been used illegally, unconstitutionally, there are these other steps that we can do to help ourselves, because the people suffering are not the leaders. It is the people of the Republic of Kenya. It is the people of Africa who suffer when those kinds of things actually happen. And this is beside the fact that we have seen PLO Lumumba on several occasions come out very clearly. I do not like the kind of politics played by William Samoei, I mean by Raila Amolo Odinga. That is clear. But again, something very interesting came out of his mouth. And he told us that, I know some people will think I am actually boycotting bought. Watu watafikiria nimenunuliwa. PLO, how would you come out to defend yourself on such an issue? Nobody had accused you of being bought. But there is the psychology of guilt. So in my mind, I'm asking myself, are you guilty of having been bought? You may ask, you may react to this in any way you want. Kenyans may take this however they want, but we must be able to defend the truth from even the best of liars. We must be able to filter the truth from even the best of liars. And the best of liars are in the intelligent people, the pastors, the good men who when you look at them, you see God, and then all of a sudden, what they are saying is actually very shady. It is not entirely godly, but it is not ungodly. So you need to filter and check it out, have it come out. So my question is, how will PLO tell us that some of us may accuse him of having been bought? Is it a defense? Is it something that he is already guilty of? And this is informed by one fact. When he was talking, it is like he had already passed judgment on the fact that Raila lost the elections legitimately. And that is his point of view. And your point of view actually totally blurs your thought processes. No matter how intelligent, if you miss the point of view, you miss the point. So PLO Lumumba, the question is, was the elections actually legitimate? Were the results of the Supreme Court proceedings legitimate? And why have you already judged that Raila is actually doing treason? And the question becomes, what is treason? And what is treasonable about mass action? Was Martin Luther being treasonable when he came out and said, no, we cannot continue like this? Then we should accuse then Nelson Mandela should have been accused of treason, because he should actually have sat down and said, oh, let us keep talking to these Africans, let's keep talking to this Dutch government, maybe they can listen to us, we don't have to burn the country, oh, we don't have to destroy South Africa, oh, please. The question is, when the Sri Lankans went to the streets and decided enough is enough, was it treason? Is it treason for a people to reject a constitutional process or a legal process that has actually borne nothing that is of their interest? When the people's interests are not represented, is it unconstitutional for the people to come out and say, no, enough is enough, we are not going to take this? And again, on constitutionalism of this issue, what does the Constitution say? Because, at least the Constitution almost comes out as a perfect document because it gives a way forward. So when the Constitution says, if you go to the Supreme Court, you go to an election, you are not satisfied, you can go to the Supreme Court. If you go to the Supreme Court, you're not satisfied, you can do this. If you don't do that, in fact, you have the right to picket, you have the right to hold rallies, you have the right to do all those other things, you have the right to even mass action. It is legal, and that is why no police officer has today been able to go to Raila Amolo Odinga and arrest him. If he was doing something unconstitutional, we would have seen William Samoei Ruto rush very fast, because we know William Samoei Ruto would want to victimize this person, but he has no grounds on which to do that. PLO Lumumba is telling these two people to actually sit down and discuss those ideas. My question is, can they even sit on one table? I have seen Raila Amolo Odinga sit down with his arch enemies, people he had fought with. And we saw that when he actually joined Moi. And they talked with him. He even joined his government. We saw him talk with Kibaki and they came to an amicable solution. And they worked together as president and prime minister. We saw him sit down with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who he was very clear on. This man rigged an election. He stole my victory. But he went all the way out of his way, talked with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and discussed and solved the issue. Because the nation is better than anybody. But what if there is no nation now? What if there is no Kenya? Because Kenyans are suffering in Kenya. I mean, we may want to think, oh, peace is very important in a country. And indeed it is. We cannot downplay the importance of peace. But what if there is only an implication of peace? How many people have committed suicide in the recent times? How many people are sleeping hungry? What peace is there to a man who is sleeping hungry? What peace is there to a person who is not settled? Today, more than 3 million children have not been able to go back to school. What peace is there in their families, in their fathers and mothers' minds? What peace is there in their lives? What peace is there? When we talk about peace, let us talk about peace and what peace really is. Peace does not mean the absence of war. We are actually at war. And the kind of war Kenyans are actually waging today is war on intellectual basis, economic basis. This is an economy of wars, and it is an economy, a war on economy. So when you come out and tell us that this is treason, we are banning Kenya, I want you to know that Kenya has already been banning. Kenya has been smoldering all these years because nobody has solved the Kenyan people's problems. Yes, tribalism has been a problem in Kenya, but nobody did anything about it. And anyway, even if nobody does anything about it, tribalism in itself could never really have destroyed Kenya. The thing with Kenyans today is the economy, and that is the only war that Kenyans are actually waging. I'm not even that much of a learned person. I'm only a holder of a certain diploma, but I know that the problem of Kenya today is not all those bourgeois issues and all those grand issues that we want to discuss. The problem of Kenyans today is the economy. But is the government doing anything to solve this problem? No. It is very clear. Nothing that the government is doing. In fact, it is doing even things that are actually going to aggravate the situation. Because now, for example, when the government is being accused of wamekuwa wakikopa pesa but we cannot see, wametoa subsidies but we cannot see where all these subsidies are going, and then they come out clearly and tell us kwa serikali hakuna pesa, then they should also tell us wamekuwa wakiokota tax. You know, as the president, even if you have not actually had time to make your budget, you have the chance to actually stand and declare that my people are actually suffering. I am going to take these emergency measures, and once I take them, I want to solve these particular problems. I want to solve the problem of insecurity in the north. We have seen very frail efforts being done by the government. Today, the problem of insecurity in the north is still becoming persistent. So what peace is there in that place? I mean, PLO Lumumba, I wish you were telling Kenyans the truth, that yes, we are under problems. and give us a roadmap on what you think will be the solution. Because number one, a talk between William Samoei Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga is almost something we should not even dream about. Because William Samoei Ruto has come out very clearly, I don't want to talk to Raila Amolo Odinga. Even before Raila came out and said, I don't want to talk to this man, I'm not going to talk to this man. So he was very categorical. I'm never going to hold any talks with Raila Amolo Odinga. So you still wanted Raila Amolo Odinga to go and insist, tafadhali, my friend, oh, you are my colleague, you are with you, nisikize. What the fuck will you be saying? I mean, what the fuck will that kind of an expectation be? There is time to talk and time to do action. If the Sri Lankans never stood and acted, their president will still be in place, they will still be suffering. I'm not saying they are not suffering today, but there is a roadmap to problem solving. What we wanted to see the government of William Samoei Arap Ruto do was lay the groundwork that we are doing something about this. Give us time, because you can see we are making tangible efforts. Have we seen that? Professor, have you seen that? It's almost like I want to make Professor sit here with me so that I can ask him this question directly, and actually have him answer me. Professor, have you seen that? You are an intelligent man. You are not like us village people, us unlearned men who don't have any ounce of intelligence in them. We who are easily lied to, tukiambiwa tumetoa subsidies, tutawapea fertilizer, mlime, baada ya miezi 6 hamtakuwa na njaa. Now and now that even becomes paradoxical, because today we are more than 6 months after elections. Are the people of the Republic of Kenya still hungry? Because we were told that I'm going to subsidize fertilizer. After 6 months, Kenyans Wakenya wapande mahindi. After 6 months, njaa itakuwa imeisha. Today njaa imeisha. That is the question. So what we have is a hot-air government that is just out on shouting matches. Today, the deputy president will come out and say things, declare things. Like I have said, he was talking about farmers, Kenyan farmers selling maize on national television instead of going to the grounds and buying the maize from the farmers. We don't need you to be talking about it. We need you to do something about it. We want you to go to the farmers, ambia wakulima mko na mahindi, tuko nayo, mmejiekea. Kwa nini mnauza hiyo mahindi yenu expensive? Fanyeni hivi, niuzieni hiyo mahindi yenu, tuiweke kwa market. That is what I need to see the government doing. I need to see the government telling us bei ya mafuta inapanda na tumekuwa tukinunua mafuta place fulani, hao watu ni expensive. Tunataka tufikirie, tunaweza toa mafuta Nigeria, tunaweza toa mafuta Qatar, tunaweza toa mafuta Dubai, tunaweza toa mafuta all those other places, wherever it is that is less cheaper, so that the economy has some grounds to actually change. We need to see those grounds being worked on. But when those things are not being worked on, what is the problem with the people of Kenya coming out to say? And this question goes out to anybody saying that Raila is doing something unconstitutional and something illegal. I know that most of you are actually paid to do that. And I'm sorry to accuse the good professor this. A man I very much respect and love. PLO, manze, respect to you. I have always respected you. I listen to you like crazy. I follow your interviews, I follow your lectures, because man, these are the kind of political ideologies I need to line myself with. Because if I ever will become a leader, I want to become a leader, a people leader, like you have said, an honest man. But on this one, you are either compromised or very misinformed and wrong. I don't know whether you are going to say that I'm actually being stupid or asking, telling a professor that is actually misinformed. Maybe people will even accuse me of being the misinformed one. But the truth is the truth. That is my opinion. You can have your opinion. The Constitution allows any Kenyan to say anything without fear of intimidation, like Gachagua has been telling us. So when I say this, it is my opinion. I am airing it. A man can have his opinion. A man is free to talk. So what you talk is your opinion. So what I'm saying is my opinion. So if anybody has a problem with my opinion, I don't have a problem with you. You can also have your own opinion. I will not have a problem with it. You can make your comments. I don't have a problem with it. But somebody tell the good old professor that the kind of respect we have for him, let him not take that direction that he is taking. The direction the church has taken, let him not take that same direction. You know, we have seen the church very clearly. The church was sleeping with William Samoei Ruto when the economy was very bad. The church has not been telling this person what to do so that they can help their masses, their congregants. And now when the congregation decide to say enough is enough, now the pastors start telling them, tafadhali msichome nchi. Nchi gani? What is my motherland if I am suffering in my own motherland? What is home if I am suffering in my own homeland? We have to make our motherland motherly to us. We have to have our motherland motherly to us. We have to have our homes homely to us. We have to have our hospitals hospitable to us. So there is no peace until people of the Republic of Kenya feel that this is our land and we are doing well in our own land, regardless of the fact that there will always be issues here and there. But there are issues we can deal with. COVID-19 came up, we dealt with it somebody. No Kenyan came out to protest, oh, kuna corona tunakufa. No Kenyan came out to say that. We have had corruption all this while. No Kenyan has ever actually come out and say, let us ban Kenya because corruption has become too much. But Kenyans have suffered too much now. It is just like our fathers were fighting. They were suffering very much under colonialism. It is time that they came and said enough is enough. And that is how Kenya was birthed. It took blood. In fact, it took bloodshed for Kenya to become what it is today. We would never have had Kenya today if Kinadad and Kemali and all those other people never stood out and said we are going to war. So if they preferred peace to war, we will not have Kenya. If Kina Jomo Kenyatta and all those other their contemporaries continued on, oh, let us continue having talks, muzungu angekuwa hapa. So let us be intelligent enough to realize this truth, that if the people of South Africa never took arms against the government, if the people never took action against repressive regimes, they would never get a solution to their problems. And that is all that we need. Solutions to our problems. Solutions to our problems. Solutions to our problems. To me, it doesn't matter if I have to go to war to get what I need. It doesn't matter to me if I have to suffer and die and even die to get what I deserve. Because I don't have to live a peace to pretend that I am very happy and very peaceful. Oh, my dear country, we are very peaceful. We are one. We are a good nation. Oh, sijui nini nini. While in the background, we're actually suffering. We can do something about it. We can do something about it. And let us do something about it. This is a call for a revolution. to all people who love their republic, regardless of which political formation you actually ascribe to. It is time we all stood together and said we want a better Republic of Kenya. If the government is not going to provide that, then away with the government. If the courts are not going to give us that, away with the courts. If Parliament is not going to give us that, away with Parliament. We don't have to conform to a constitution that is actually having us very submissive for very submissive. We are being submissive to the law when we are being oppressed. We don't have to submit to our oppressors. The slaves never had to submit to their oppressors. Our fathers never had to submit to the colonial masters. So we also don't have to submit to those colonialists. It is time Africans woke up. It is time we stood our grounds and said, this is Africa, it is our business, we are the people, we own our laws and regulations, we are going to do something about it, and we're not going to sit back again. So to my dear fellow Kenyans, do not be worried about Kenya. Kenya will always be there. But we need to do something. We cannot accept to be part of a history that we kept silent, we just accepted, we tried talks when talk could not walk. Then crawl made the movements. When a round table cannot solve the issues, then let us not fear of taking actions, because what we need is a good life in our own country. What we need is change in our country, and the only way to change Africa, the only way to change Kenya today, is actually saying no. So whether the government is going to change, it is up to them. But we will need change. We will need to enact change. And if the change cannot be enacted peacefully, then we need to forcefully enact it. So let not anybody come out and tell Kenyans, oh no, this, oh no that, oh no that. Kenyans are very clear on their needs. Our only need is let us be able to afford basic needs. When we cannot be able to afford that, everything else is useless. Roads are useless, houses are useless when we cannot be able to afford food, because we cannot even sleep peacefully on hungry, empty stomachs. So all we need is basic necessities. If nobody is doing something about it, then we are joining people like Raila. Even if they have their own personal interests, we don't care. They are saying what we want. They are advocating for what we want. Leave alone people like Kimani Ichung'wah and all those other people who come out and tell us all these other bad things about this man. Na mimi ni Mkikuyu and I understand all that. Emotions. But we don't have to be emotional about this. We need sanity. We need to be objective. We need to be clear. So to Raila Amolo Odinga, right now, our only hope is pegged on you. And people like PLO Lumumba can come out and tell you, oh, you will be you may destroy your legacy. Oh, the history will not remember you fondly if you do that. Please, today, history fondly remembers Nelson Mandela because he was able to stand against the colonialists. Today, we remember Tom Mboya because he was able to stand against a repressive, oppressive regime. Today we celebrate John Pombe Magufuli because he was able to change Tanzania and all those other leaders. And that is what we want from you, Raila. No matter whether we will fail, all we want from you is, I want you to know that Kenyans have pegged all their hopes on you. If you decide to betray them and go hold talks with William Samoei Ruto, get your kickbacks, because you can actually do that. Go sit down, accept the invites that William Ruto has been sending indirectly to you. Go have a round table with him, talk, get your kickbacks, and come out to us and tell us, amanze kuna venye hii story tusare. But I want William Ruto to know, if Ruto fails, it is the people of Kenya themselves who are actually going to come after you. And some people think I am just talking. Today, Kenyans are actually troubled, and they are ready to act. They are ready to act. They are ready to act. Let nobody lie to anybody. If a chance just comes up and these people have to go to the streets, I mean, you just need to check at the masses coming out in Raila's mass action campaign. You just need to see the sheer masses, the sheer largesse of the people flowing into those rallies. This should be telling you something. Kenyans are actually fed up. We are tired. We are tired. What we need is change. And change. So if nobody is giving us change, we will take change for ourselves. Thank you all for watching these videos. I urge you to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mkenya TV. You can also follow me on Facebook. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok at Mkenya TV. I'm also on Twitter, though I have been quite inactive on Twitter. I will give you my Twitter handles once I am able to resume. I'm also not very quite active on Facebook, even though I'm working on it. But guys, kindly support me. Let us always come out and talk. Let us discuss these issues. Let us see what these people are telling us and what they are not. Let us talk and reason out. Tuambiane ukweli wa Kenya. And manze, for those who love our motherland, peace. For those who care for our nation, peace. For those who love their brothers, peace. This is a time for us to stay united in our cause. We are not in this fight to fight anybody. We are not in this cause to fight anything. Our only enemy is poverty. We do not even care who is president. Our only enemy is poverty. Our only enemy is impoverishment. Our only enemy is lack of food in our stomachs. Just that. So let us not fight anybody for who they are. Let us fight anybody standing against what we want. Just that. Just that. Peace.